If you've ever had a moment in bed where your body just didn't respond, that's not a sexual problem. That's a vascular warning, and it might be the most important health signal your body has ever sent you. I am Dr. Simon, and today I shall discuss about erectile dysfunction at 40, the root cause no one talks about. Let's be real for a second. You've ever experienced erectile dysfunction even once. You know the feeling, the shame, the confusion, the quiet panic of wondering what's wrong with you. And if you haven't experienced it yet, pay close attention, because research shows the prevalence of ED increases from roughly 2 to 9% in men under 49 to 20-40% in men between 60 and 69. If you're 40 now, you're entering the window where this becomes a real statistical possibility. But here's what no one tells you. Erectile dysfunction is almost never about your penis. That's right. The organ isn't the problem. The system delivering blood to it is. Research published in PubMed states it directly. ED is a vascular disorder caused by endothelial dysfunction, the same underlying mechanism that causes heart disease, stroke, and atherosclerosis. ED and cardiovascular disease should be considered two different manifestations of the same systemic disorder. Your erection isn't a sexual issue. It's a cardiovascular issue wearing a sexual costume. And here's why this matters so much. Once you understand that ED is a vascular disease, everything changes. The treatment changes. The prevention changes. The entire way you think about your health changes. Because if ED is a heart disease preview, and the research is unambiguous that it is, then fixing ED doesn't just restore your sex life. It might save your life. A study published in Circulation found that ED is an independent predictor of future cardiovascular events. Men with ED had significantly higher risk of coronary heart disease, heart attack, and cardiovascular death than men without ED, even after controlling for every other risk factor. That's not a minor detail. That's the single most important health signal most men over 40 will ever receive. And most of them ignore it because they're too embarrassed to talk about it. So in this video, we're going to tear apart the myth that ED is just getting older. We're going to look at the real biological mechanisms, the endothelial damage, the nitric oxide breakdown, the metabolic dysfunction that create ED, and then we're going to show you exactly what the research proves can reverse it. Not manage it, not mask it with medication, actually reverse the underlying damage. Let's get into it. To understand why ED happens, you need to understand one thing: how an erection actually works at the biological level. It starts in your brain. Sexual arousal triggers your nervous system to release a chemical called nitric oxide into the walls of your penile arteries. Nitric oxide signals the smooth muscle cells lining those arteries to relax. When they relax, the arteries dilate. Blood floods into the erectile tissue and you get an erection. Simple, elegant, completely dependent on one thing: the health of your blood vessel walls, your endothelium. Now here's where it breaks down. Your endothelium is a single layer of cells lining every blood vessel in your body. When it's healthy, it responds to signals perfectly. Nitric oxide flows, vessels relax, blood moves where it needs to go. But when your endothelium is damaged from years of poor diet, chronic inflammation, high blood sugar, smoking, oxidative stress, it stops responding correctly. Nitric oxide production drops, vessels stop relaxing, blood flow decreases, and in your penis, the effect is immediate and devastating because penile arteries are tiny compared to coronary arteries. Research confirms that for the same level of arterial damage, penile blood flow is reduced far more significantly than coronary blood flow. This is why ED shows up before heart disease. Your penis is the early warning system. A study examining endothelial cell activation in men with ED found that elevated markers of endothelial damage were present even in men with no other cardiovascular risk factors. ED was described as a sentinel of early atherosclerosis, meaning it appears before any other sign of vascular disease. And the research on this connection is massive. A review in PubMed analyzing the relationship between ED and cardiovascular disease concluded ED may be an early marker for atherosclerosis and cardiovascular disease. The diagnosis of ED could become a powerful clinical tool to improve early detection. So the root cause of ED isn't testosterone, it isn't stress. It isn't aging, it's vascular damage. And vascular damage is caused by a combination of lifestyle factors that accumulate over years, silently, invisibly, until one day your body can't deliver enough blood flow where it needs to go. Now let's zoom in on nitric oxide, because this molecule is the key to everything. Here's the chain reaction. No one, healthy endothelium, adequate nitric oxide, smooth muscle relaxes, blood flows, erection. Research on the pathophysiology of ED identifies nitric oxide as the key mediator promoting endothelium-derived vasodilation and penile erection. Without it, erections don't happen. Second scenario is damaged endothelium, reduced nitric oxide, smooth muscle stays contracted, blood flow blocked, no erection. And what damages the endothelium and reduces nitric oxide? Everything about modern life. Oxidative stress from processed foods, pollution, chronic inflammation directly destroys nitric oxide before it can do its job. Free radicals react with no molecules, eliminating them and creating toxic byproducts that damage the vessel walls further. Chronic inflammation from obesity, metabolic syndrome, poor diet, activates inflammatory pathways that inhibit the enzyme in us responsible for producing nitric oxide in the first place. High blood sugar from diabetes or insulin resistance triggers advanced glycation end products that damage endothelial cells and impair their ability to produce and release nitric oxide. Now let's talk about the two conditions accelerating this damage fastest: diabetes and obesity. Research from PMC states clearly the prevalence of ED is approximately 3.5-fold higher in men with diabetes than in those without, 3.5 times more likely. Why diabetes, particularly type 2, creates a perfect storm for vascular destruction. Chronic high blood sugar damages endothelial cells directly. It increases oxidative stress. It triggers inflammation. It damages nerves that signal nitric oxide release. And it creates insulin resistance, which further impairs vascular function. A study examining diabetic men with ED found that they had impaired endothelium-mediated relaxation of smooth muscle in addition to dysregulation of nitric oxide synthase. The vascular damage from diabetes is multi-system and relentless. Now, obesity. Research shows the odds of having ED are 1.5 times higher in men with a BMI of 25-30 and 3 times higher in men with a BMI above 30 compared to men with a healthy BMI. But obesity doesn't just increase ED risk through vascular damage. It creates a hormonal disaster. Fat tissue, particularly visceral belly fat, contains an enzyme called aromatase. Aromatase converts testosterone into estrogen. More fat, more conversion, lower testosterone. And testosterone directly regulates erectile function and sexual desire. Research confirms An inverse association between obesity and low testosterone levels has been established in healthy men. The prevalence of low testosterone and obesity ranges from 20% to 64%, depending on population and measurement method. So obesity simultaneously damages your blood vessels and crashes your hormones. It's a double attack on erectile function from two different directions. And here's the vicious cycle. ED causes stress and depression. Stress and depression reduce physical activity. Reduced activity promotes weight gain. Weight gain worsens vascular health and hormones, which worsens ED. Round and round it goes. Now let's talk about what specifically to eat, because the research points to one dietary pattern above all others. A study of 250 middle-aged men with hypertension and ED found that those who followed a Mediterranean diet more closely had significantly higher testosterone levels, better exercise capacity, better coronary blood flow, less arterial stiffness, and better erectile performance. The Mediterranean diet emphasizes fruits, vegetables, whole grains, olive oil, nuts, fish, and legumes, with moderate dairy and limited red meat. Why does it work so well for ED specifically? Research on Mediterranean diet and erectile function found that this dietary pattern contributes to preventing ED through improved lipid and glucose metabolism, increased antioxidant defenses, and increased arginine levels, which directly raises nitric oxide activity. Think about what that means. The Mediterranean diet repairs the exact biological pathway that erections depend on. It reduces oxidative stress, protecting nitric oxide. It reduces inflammation, protecting endothelial cells. It increases arginine, boosting no production. It improves insulin sensitivity, protecting vascular function. A clinical trial, the PREDIMED study, showed that a Mediterranean diet supplemented with extra virgin olive oil increased plasma antioxidant capacity and reduced oxidative activity. A sub-study confirmed that olive oil specifically affects nitric oxide bioavailability. Men with type 2 diabetes who adhered most closely to the Mediterranean diet had the lowest prevalence of ED and were more likely to remain sexually active. This isn't about one magic food. It's about a dietary pattern that systematically reduces every risk factor driving endothelial damage. Here's the complete research-backed protocol for reversing ED at the root cause level. Weeks 1-4 Vascular Foundation. 1. Exercise, 30 minutes of moderate aerobic activity, 5 days per week. Walking, cycling, swimming, anything that elevates heart rate to 60-70% of max. Research from the Massachusetts Male Aging Study found that men who initiated physical activity in midlife had a 70% reduced ED rate compared to sedentary controls. 2. Nutrition. Begin transitioning to Mediterranean-style eating immediately. Olive oil as primary fat. Fatty fish 3x per week, vegetables at every meal, nuts daily, reduce processed foods, fried foods, refined sugar. Weeks 5-8, metabolic optimization. Add resistance training 2-3 sessions per week. Compound movements. This builds muscle, improves insulin sensitivity, and reduces visceral fat, all critical for vascular repair. Target weight loss of 0.5 to 1 kilo per week if overweight. Research shows a weight loss of 5 to 10% in overweight men can result in effective improvement in erectile function in a short period. Weeks 9-12. Stress and sleep optimization. Manage stress. Daily mindfulness or breath work. 10 to 15 minutes minimum. Chronic stress elevates cortisol, which damages endothelial function and suppresses testosterone simultaneously. Fixed sleep, 7 to 8 hours consistently. Sleep deprivation increases inflammation, disrupts hormones, and impairs vascular recovery. Month 4 plus, maintenance and monitoring. This is where consistency becomes the differentiator. The Esposito trial was 2 years. Vascular repair takes time, but the research shows measurable improvements begin within 12 weeks and continue compounding for months after. The biggest mistake, here it is, the single biggest mistake men make with ED. They take Viagra and think the problem is solved. It's not. The medication is a Band-Aid on a systemic vascular disease. The men who actually reverse ED are the ones who address the endothelial damage directly through exercise, nutrition, weight loss, and inflammation control. Sum up. Here's the truth no one talks about. Your erectile dysfunction is not a sexual problem. It's a vascular disease. It's the same disease process that will one day threaten your heart, your brain, and your life, just showing up earlier in your penis because penile arteries are smaller. Good news. Here's the good news. It's reversible. Research proves that lifestyle intervention, exercise, Mediterranean-style nutrition, weight management, stress reduction, repairs endothelial function, restores nitric oxide production, and improves erectile function in men with obesity and metabolic syndrome. Your body built this vascular damage over years. It can rebuild over months if you give it what it needs. Start this week. Get tested. Begin the protocol, because ED at 40 isn't the end of something. It's a warning. And the men who listen to the warning, the men who act on it, don't just fix their sex life. They add years to their life. If this video changed how you understand erectile dysfunction, subscribe to Mangevity for more evidence-based men's health content that most channels won't touch. Comment below. Are you dealing with this? Have you tried lifestyle changes? What's worked or what hasn't? Let's have an honest conversation in the comments. No judgment here. Share this with any man over 40 who needs to hear it. This isn't embarrassing. It's life-saving information. See you in the next one.